Hello and welcome. My name is Todd McLaughlin and I'm here at Native Yoga Center in Juno Beach, Florida. Today I'm going to teach you how to practice and learn Janu Sirsasana C, head to knee pose C. In Ashtanga Yoga, we have this unique posture that is very deep posture stretch for the ankle, the knee, and the hip. So I want to give you a couple of yoga for beginner type tips and ideas of ways to approach this particular posture. All right, remember to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and the bell to be notified every time I release new videos every Thursday and Friday. All right, so go ahead and come onto your yoga mat and let's investigate Janu Sirsasana C. All right, the word Janu Sirsasana references Janu, which is knee, and Shirsha means head. So head to knee pose, Janu Sirsasana. Now, in Ashtanga Yoga, we have Janu Sirsasana A, B, and C in the primary series. Today, Janu Sirsasana C. Janu Sirsasana C is a dorsiflexion of the ankle posture. It is a knee flexion pose with some rotation, and it's a hip flexion rotation posture. So it is a fairly dynamic and strong ankle, toe joint, knee joint, hip joint, and hamstring stretch for the body. So what we're attempting to do is have the heel aligned above the ball of the foot and angle the right knee down toward the floor while we extend out over the straight leg, and the name Janu Sirsasana, head to knee pose, head down. So the C reference is toward this positioning of the ankle, the toes, and the knee. Now, this is a very challenging pose for most, and I want to give you a couple of pointers. Let's start off joint by joint and give you a couple of research postures that you can work with to prepare the body for this posture. The first one is the ability to do toe extension. Toe flexion is when you grip your toes, like if you were to pick up a pencil off the floor. Toe extension is when your toes are stretched back. And the other key ingredient is dorsiflexion of the ankle, which was when our toes turn toward the shin bone. So a really good one for this is the puppy dog, sometimes called puppy dog. It's where you take your toes, you extend them by putting the ball of the foot on the floor. The ankle is in a dorsiflex, and you can attempt to sit with your hips on your heels and put firm pressure into this toe extension motion. And so for those of you that have some knee pain, toe pain, or ankle pain, the way that you can start off is in your classic cat-cow positioning. You curl the toes under and slowly start to flex your knees and bring your hips towards your heels. So if you have some challenge with the knees, you obviously don't have to push really far. If you have some challenge with the toes, like sometimes what we see is that the toes don't have the ability yet to do that full dorsiflex motion. So what we first want to try to do is attempt to get that sort of positioning and then slowly apply more and more pressure into the joints, the toe joints and the ankle joints. And then if you have the ability to actually sit and bear pressure down on the heel and the ball of the foot, this in essence is the foot alignment for Janu Sirsasana C. The next thing that we can investigate are the knees. The knees typically do best when in classic flexion, but in yoga postures, we do exercise a little bit of rotational motion in the knee joint. It's minimal, but it's there if we coach it, train it, or are aiming to work this posture. So the first thing really is having the ability to do full knee flexion. If you can close the gap between your calf muscle and your hamstrings and create full knee flexion, Janu Sirsasana C is an option. If you're having a hard time with the ability to close this together, we are going to work a couple of different modification options. One option, to work in external rotation. Now we're bringing the movement into the hip joint, and this is a deep hip opener. If the hips are really tight, this will be a lot of pressure for the knees. So what we want to do is work the hip opening so that we can work the rotation of the knee reasonably. So one way is to do this sort of cradling effect of the leg bone. Another way is a pigeon preparation pose. There's a pose called Ekapada Raja Kapotasana, one leg king pigeon pose, where we fold our body on top of the leg. This is a really good one to prepare for Janu Sirsasana C because it does work the external rotation of your right hip joint. So just keep that in mind if you're nursing a knee issue, an ankle issue, or something in the toes or foot. Then you can do this modified variation where you bring the leg in and just start to work hip rotation. Okay, the next thing, if you're attempting to go into the full position, in this case on the right side, grab your right heel with your left hand, take your right arm, weave through, catch a hold of the toes, pull the toes into the extension position, pull the ankle into the dorsiflexion position. And then we're going to gently rotate the ball of the foot down toward the floor while directing the heel bone toward the navel. Work slow and gradual without excessive pressure. If you're able to get the ball of the foot to touch down to the floor, you can start to work the ability to remove the hand out of the equation. Now, if you go to remove your hand out and the foot drops down, it doesn't stay in position. One option is to repeat Janu Sirsasana A, one of the previous poses leading up to this one here, to first work the ability to just get the hip and the knee ready for this pose. If you also, another way you can do is you can take when your arm is under and you're holding your toes, is to keep the hand in this position, and this will enable the arm to keep the whole pose in relative shape. Now, one way you can start to emphasize working deeper, because if you start to feel some knee pain, I recommend do not push any further. Listen to your body. Do not force your knee to achieve Janu Sirsasana C. What you can do is just support the foot, kind of like your hand is a shoehorn, and you hold the heel in the relative position, and just try to sit up vertically with the spine, activating the bandhas or the abdominal muscle contraction, and practice just sitting up straight. This motion, this is called a posterior tilt of the pelvis. This is called an anterior tilt of the pelvis. So what we want to go toward is this anterior tilt. And this is just slowly working the rotational motion of your hip joint, the relationship of your femur, your thigh bone in the hip socket. It is starting to work a very gentle rotational motion at your knee joint, and it's definitely putting pressure on your pinky toe extension. If it feels like your pinky toe is going to dislocate, don't push any further. Maybe you have to back up. Maybe you need to come back to the initial position that I pointed out, the puppy dog, and work a little bit more of just getting the toes prepared for this posture with the puppy dog. All right, so then with that being said, there's a couple of other ways that you can modify the position. I do have knee issues. I have to be very careful with this posture. It's one of these poses that was a lot easier for me 20 years ago, a little more challenging now, but I still like to work it to the best of my ability, and I encourage you to do the same. Right now what I'm doing is I'm sitting on a block. You take the block, you turn it sideways, so don't sit on it long ways, turn it sideways, and then place the block underneath your hips. Both sitting bones are sitting on the block. This will help to keep this level positioning. And so what I'm going to do here is similar. It is a lot easier to be able to get the ball of the foot down to the floor when your hips are elevated. Now notice I probably won't touch my knee down on the floor when I'm sitting on the block, but what it can do is give you a little bit of a sense of what the dynamic of the leverage potential here is with the heel, the dorsiflex of the ankle. And so here I can hold the pose, you can hold the pose here and slowly work into your knee and foot movement. And remember, listen, like right now, if my knee's getting tired, I'm just gonna slowly, gently release and let the blood flow back in and just practice both sides. Always, obviously, you're gonna do right side, left side evenly. Spend about the same amount of time working on both sides. If you decide to eliminate the block, great, wonderful, go for it. You can practice your Janu Sirsasana C and the foot doesn't fall out of the position. Another key ingredient is to actively press the dorsiflex of the heel into the inner thigh of the leg that the foot is against. In other words, push the right heel into your left thigh and gently encourage your right heel to rotate forward toward the ground. If you can incorporate the arm wrap or the catch, you can aim for your left foot, and complete the Janu Sirsasana C of your head touching down onto your leg or your knee. Do you have any questions? Let me check for those of you joining in live. If you have a question, you can leave it in the comment section. I'm happy to answer. All right, let's see what are a couple of the common questions that I hear on a regular basis. The big one really is if there is a knee injury. One of the questions is, should I do the side that is easy for me to the full ability, and do I modify the side that is injured? Great question. All right, well, the answer to that is there's multiple answers. One approach, let me just point this out, bear with me I'll make this as clear and concise as possible. Imagine I have a right knee injury and I'm unable to do Janu Sirsasana C right now. What I'm going to do is just repeat Janu Sirsasana A, make a very gentle knee flexion position, and continue to rehab my knee and my body through a gentler option. But then when I switch over to my other side, I'm able to do this side because my left knee feels great. So one of the questions is, should I do my better side to the full ability? I think that one sound option is to actually do the side that is easy for you to the same level as the side that you're unable to do. Because what can happen is that if, say I have this knee injury that lasts a year, and for a whole year I do it like this, and then every time I go to my left side, I rotate this side in a much deeper position, I'm slowly lopsiding my ability level on one side or the other. So if I take my easy side, my left side, and I do it to the level that I did in my right side, then it is keeping the body in a relative balanced position in the process of eventually working back into the Janu Sirsasana C if that's something you decide to pursue. So that's one way that you can accommodate some of these different injury situations that occur on one side of the body versus the other. And this formula can be applied to all of the yoga positions that you engage with. So if you have a different theory, I'm happy to hear it. Send me a comment or a note. I'd love to know. And because what I feel like is yoga is a chance for all of us to grow. And those of us that are practicing, and you're learning, and I can learn from you and you can learn from me. So thank you so much for sharing your ideas. All right, with that being said, remember, check out our website, nativeyogacenter.com. And that has all of our links to what we offer. You can join me on live stream. I have a 2-week free live stream unlimited special. You'll see it in the link in the description below. And just click on that, and I send you the link to join in on Zoom, and you can practice with us every day and try that out for free. Also, I upload all of those classes onto nativeyogaonline.com. And it's only $15 a month. You can practice whenever you want every day. And I upload new classes every day. All right. Hope that helps. Have a wonderful day. Namaste. Until next time. See you soon.